Every year, Christians around the world commemorate the Feast of St. Thomas the Apostle, a celebration honoring one of the most intriguing and significant figures among the 12 apostles of Jesus Christ. This feast is not merely a remembrance of a historical personality, but a rich tapestry woven from the threads of faith, doubt, discovery, and the enduring power of belief. The story of St. Thomas, often called Doubting Thomas, reaches far beyond his initial skepticism and extends into continents, cultures, and centuries, leaving an indelible mark on Christian history and tradition. To understand the origins of the Feast of St. Thomas the Apostle, we must first delve into the life and legacy of Thomas himself. Known in the Gospel of John as Thomas, called Didymus, meaning the twin, Thomas was one of the 12 chosen disciples who followed Jesus during his earthly ministry. While relatively little is known about his early life, Thomas's defining moment comes after the resurrection. According to the Gospel narrative, when the risen Christ first appeared to the other disciples, Thomas was absent. When told of this miraculous event, he expressed doubt, famously declaring that unless he saw the nail marks in Jesus' hands and put his finger where the nails were, he would not believe. A week later, Jesus appeared again, inviting Thomas to touch his wounds. Overcome, Thomas proclaimed, "My Lord and my God!" In this moment, Thomas transformed from skeptic to ardent believer, his doubt giving way to one of the strongest affirmations of Christ's divinity in the New Testament. The commemoration of Thomas's journey from doubt to faith forms the foundation of his feast. The origins of the feast date back to the early centuries of Christianity. Initially, different regions celebrated Thomas on various dates, reflecting the diversity of early Christian communities and the spread of his veneration. In the Western Church, the feast was traditionally held on December 21st, marking the approach of Christmas and emphasizing the connection between Thomas's confession of faith and the mystery of the Incarnation. In the Eastern Orthodox Church, the feast is celebrated on October 6th, while the Syro-Malabar and other Eastern Catholic churches honor Thomas on July 3rd, which is regarded as the date of his martyrdom. The history of the Feast of St. Thomas the Apostle is enriched by the stories and legends that surround his missionary journeys. According to ancient Christian tradition, after the ascension of Jesus, the apostles dispersed to various parts of the world to spread the gospel. Thomas, it is believed, traveled farthest, to the distant lands of Persia and India. The Acts of Thomas, an early Christian text, narrates his voyage to the Indian subcontinent, where he is said to have preached, performed miracles, and established Christian communities, particularly along the Malabar coast in present-day Kerala. These communities, known today as the St. Thomas Christians, trace their origins directly to the apostle and have preserved his memory and teachings for nearly 2 millennia. The beliefs associated with St. Thomas reflect his unique role among the apostles. For many Christians, Thomas represents the honest seeker, the one who voices doubts so that faith may be affirmed more deeply. His encounter with the risen Christ is seen not as a failure, but as a profound journey from uncertainty to conviction, providing comfort to believers who struggle with doubts of their own. The feast celebrates the idea that faith is not the absence of doubt, but the willingness to seek, question, and ultimately embrace the truth. The significance of the Feast of St. Thomas the Apostle extends far beyond individual piety. The feast is a reminder of the universality of the Christian message, how the gospel transcended boundaries and reached diverse peoples and cultures. Thomas's legendary mission to India highlights Christianity's early global reach and the apostolic foundation of many communities outside the Roman Empire. For the St. Thomas Christians of India, the feast is not only a spiritual occasion, but also a celebration of their unique heritage and identity, rooted in direct apostolic succession. Traditions and practices associated with the Feast of St. Thomas vary widely across Christian denominations and regions. In the Roman Catholic Church, the feast is marked by special masses and prayers, often focusing on themes of faith and witness. Readings from the Gospel of John recount Thomas's encounter with the risen Christ, inviting the faithful to reflect on the nature of belief and the reality of the resurrection. The liturgical color for the day is red, symbolizing martyrdom and the Holy Spirit, as Thomas is believed to have died for his faith. In the Eastern Orthodox and Oriental Orthodox churches, the feast is observed with solemn liturgies, hymns, and processions. The iconography of St. Thomas often depicts him touching the wounds of Christ, a powerful visual representation of his journey from doubt to faith. In some communities, the feast is accompanied by the blessing of homes, reflecting Thomas's role as a builder of the church both spiritually and physically. Among the St. Thomas Christians of India, the feast is known as Dukhrana, derived from the Syriac word for remembrance. Celebrated on July 3rd, the day is marked by pilgrimages to the tomb of St. Thomas at Mylapore, near Chennai, where tradition holds that the apostle was martyred. The faithful gather for special prayers, processions, and the sharing of festive meals. Churches are decorated with flowers and lights, and the story of Thomas's mission and martyrdom is recounted through readings, songs, and dramatic performances. The day is also an occasion for acts of charity and service, reflecting Thomas's legacy of compassion and outreach. In Europe and the Americas, the Feast of St. Thomas is often observed in a more subdued manner, but still holds special meaning for many. In some countries, the feast falls during Advent, serving as a spiritual preparation for Christmas. In the past, December 21st was associated with various folk customs, such as St. Thomas's Day fairs, processions, and the baking of special breads. In England and parts of Scandinavia, the day was known as Thomas the Apostle's Day, or Old Christmas Day, and was linked to traditions of charity, with the poor collecting food and alms from neighbors. The impact of the Feast of St. Thomas extends even into the realm of art and culture. Painters, sculptors, and writers throughout history have drawn inspiration from the figure of Thomas. Caravaggio's dramatic painting, The Incredulity of St. Thomas, for example, captures the moment when Thomas's hand reaches out to touch the risen Christ, emphasizing both the physical reality of the resurrection and the transformative power of faith. The story of Thomas has also inspired countless hymns, poems, and liturgical texts, underscoring his enduring relevance to the Christian imagination. In recent years, the feast has taken on new significance as Christians around the world seek to engage in dialogue across differences and confront the challenges of faith in a rapidly changing world. Thomas's willingness to ask questions and seek evidence resonates with believers and seekers alike, offering a model of faith that is both honest and open to discovery. The feast encourages Christians to embrace their doubts as opportunities for growth, to seek deeper understanding, and to bear witness to the truth in a spirit of humility and courage. Ecumenically, the Feast of St. Thomas serves as a bridge between different Christian traditions. The shared veneration of Thomas among Catholics, Orthodox, Anglicans, and Protestant communities highlights the common heritage of the apostolic faith. In regions where Christians of different denominations live side by side, the feast becomes an occasion for joint prayer, fellowship, and acts of service, fostering unity and mutual respect. Around the world, local customs and practices enrich the celebration of the feast. In Malta, for example, the village of Cormi holds an annual festival in honor of St. Thomas, featuring processions, fireworks, and traditional music. In the Philippines, where Thomas is a popular patron saint, churches and schools organize special masses and community events. In Latin America, the feast is observed with processions, dances, and the sharing of traditional foods, reflecting the vibrant faith of local communities. The Feast of St. Thomas. The Apostle stands as a testament to the enduring power of faith, the transformative journey from doubt to belief, and the universal reach of the Christian message. Through centuries of history, across continents and cultures, the memory of Thomas has inspired generations of believers to seek the truth, to bear witness with courage, and to celebrate the mystery of Christ's resurrection. As the world continues to change, the story of St. Thomas remains as relevant as ever, a reminder that faith is not the absence of questions, but the courage to seek and embrace the answers that lead to new life. Whether celebrated with grand processions or quiet prayers, in ancient cathedrals or humble homes, The feast of St. Thomas calls all who remember him to journey anew, from doubt to faith, from skepticism to hope, and from uncertainty to the joyful proclamation, "My Lord and my God."